What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Unlimited Lab. I am super excited to share some new tools, tips, and tricks with you and new things that I'm trying and learning to help me stay creative. Look, I strongly encourage you to try these things at home, apply them. The only way you're going to expand your creativity is by trying something new. This week, I'm breaking down the production aspects of the remote control remix that I produced as a part of my project called Inspired by Donda. I could talk about it all day, but let's get into the session. All right, so here we are in the session. Y'all, this is my Studio One session. I love Studio One. I came from FL Studio. I used that for like 3 to 4 years. And then for the past 5 to 7, I've been locked into Studio One. One of my mentors put me on, and it's held me down through everything that I've needed, from production to mastering and mixing, all that kind of stuff. Like vocal recording, it's super easy. I'll make another video talking about that. But as you can see in this session, there are a lot of color-coded elements. We've got folders so that I can kind of shrink and expand things as I'd like. So I've got a drum folder, guitars, pads and keys, bass, effects and transitions, which is a key part that we're going to focus in a little bit later, and the lead vocal. So as most producers, at least in the urban genres, let's start with drums. But first, let's play the record. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was really excited. Let's play the record.
It would be less than one another till we die. I give you kids and been drunk over done. Oh, my clothes. Take it to the light like a stroll. Taking me to court like, paparazzi sniffing my door. I just thought that you should know. I get frozen like the dog. Don't you freeze up on the pole. It's on remote control. Like a sinking goal. He got it, the final moments. Twilight in the game. Got it on my other crown.
Yeah. So I love this section of the record most because it has the most groove, it has the most feel to it, and there are different moving parts that go into it. And it makes you dance every time you hear it. If you're not dancing, you might not have a soul, but it's okay. But I love this section so much. If you go check out the link in the description, you can check out the full song and all its many different sections because there's way more than this. But let's start with looking at the drums and what's happening in the drum section. So let's start here. Okay, let's stop right there. I love this fill that's going on here. It's definitely a chopped sample, but it replicates something that you'd find in the disco era. Just a very simple snare fill. And then to cap it off, there's a zap snare, little something. It's a little extra something that just accents that hit. Sounds like a little ray gun. And then there's a verbed out. It's drowned out in reverb clap going on right on the one. Those are those elements in that section. Let's keep pushing forward. Okay, so there's a little accent there. I used the same sample chop from that original fill. There's even a little tom pop going on. Little boop, and then it's literally called boop. Oh. Okay, so we added some ghost notes there to kind of drive the rhythm a little bit differently, make it feel a little bit better. There's shakers going, also pushing the percussive elements forward. So over here in this section, we've added what I like to call the smack claps, right? So if we solo these two, they just add an element of funk to it, all right? Yeah, and we added a little bit more smack to them on the bus that they're in. So we've got a transient shaper doing a little bit of this here, and this 1176. We crank it until it smacks, guys. That's the trick. So we've got those, and then this open hi-hat here that just kind of pushes the drive a little bit further.
Don't you freeze up on the pole. It's on remote control. Like a sinking goal. He got it, the final moment.
So you can hear it in context. The drums just push this record forward, truly. All right, so now we're gonna move down to one of my favorite elements. We're gonna keep the drums in, and we're just gonna gradually add everything else in. So let's go down to the guitars. For the guitars, I wanted to accomplish this sort of Prince vibe, right? Just how Prince would play and add just his own textures through different layers of guitars, and each piece doing its own rhythm and its own thing. So let's take a listen. So on these guitars, I've added a bit crusher and a flanger. I've also left the original noise in just to add some authenticity to the record, right? The hums, it just kind of adds. And then once everything is playing, it's not extremely noticeable. So it's great. It's an intentional choice, and it helps to, bring some authenticity to the genre and the era which I'm trying to replicate. All right, so we're gonna move down. We're actually gonna skip the pads and keys and go to the bass. 2 or 3, we've got 3 elements in this section. So we're actually gonna jump down right here. Oof. Yeah, so for this record, the bass is one of the big drivers. Right next to the drums, it's the bass. So let's focus in on this electric bass part here. Yeah. So for this part, I originally played it with a pick. And then I went in and tightened some things. Y'all, bass players, don't come judging me. Don't come from my neck, nothing like that. All right. I had to do what I had to do to get the tone right for this record. So I picked the bass, but there's a lot of saturation going on this part. So also when you play an electric bass, every note doesn't have the same amount of sub frequencies in different registers. It sometimes you may lose those frequencies, which you're adding the bass for, right? So you kind of have to do something on the back end to balance it out. So under this part, I've added a sub layer. So let's hear what that sub layer is doing. We're going to listen to the original bass and then listen to it with the sub. This is it without. This is with. Let's go without again. Add it back in. It adds a lot more body to the bass part. Y'all, this is super crucial. If you want to maintain the bottom end of your record, just as a producer alone, I'm not even talking about on a mixing standpoint. If you want to maintain the bottom of your record, you may have to do some back end tricks. And it's not like you can hear the sub itself, like it's a separate instrument, but it's something that you're adding on to the current bass part to help it accomplish what you want it to accomplish. The third bass element in this folder is the Moog bass. It's a 3 oscillator bass sound. And it's panned all the way to the left, and it's really just trying to add some extra character, add something else to the fire as we keep things pushing. So it's really just accenting what's already happening. So let's pull those drums, guitars, and the bass elements back in. Yeah. So that feels pretty great. All right. But it's still missing a couple of things. So let's go back up to the pads and keys. There's one piece that I want to focus in on. There's a bit of a call and response happening between the guitars and the pads and keys. So let's hear that again. No. So it goes da 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 da. Yeah. So let's listen into what each section is doing. So I've separated the pads and the key elements. There's one pad going on here, and that would be this right here. This one kind of reminds me of the pad that was in Hands On from the Jesus is King record by Kanye. Y'all don't mind my Kanye references. This is just how I think of things. But it's a nice smooth pad, not doing too much, but it accents what the other keys are doing. So let's go to the keys. Solo, what's going on there? Okay, so there are a lot of pluck elements, like pluck synth elements going on here. And some of them are layered twice. This one is layered with another octave below it. Same exact part, just to add a little bit more bottom. And then this one is the driver. So the middle is gone, and that's pushed out to the sides. And then we have the other one. So if we were to play these two specifically together, and then under all of that, we have a reverse key part, a reverse piano. With a few extra things going on there, layered into that reverse key part. But in total, this is what we have right here. Yeah. So now let's add all our drums, keys, pads, and guitars together. Yeah, this is great, but we're missing one thing, and it's not the vocals, guys. It's the effects and transitions. Y'all, over the past couple years, I've learned how effective great effects and transitions can be to the movement of your record. So let's go back to this original transition here from the previous section, and watch what it sounds like without the effects and transitions in. I'm going to keep them muted, and we're going to hear the record. All right, that was cool. That was cool. Let's check it out with the effects and transitions in. That sounds and feels a lot better. You guys, when you have risers and drops and all sorts of other transitions and effects going on in your song, it helps the listener follow what's going on. When you hear a riser, it's your ear can tell that it's moving upward. It's fading in somehow, right? So that tells our ears that there's something coming up, and that gives the listener something to anticipate. And so once it drops, we've got that thing right there. Y'all, these are the different things that we can use to help us pull our records together, add some movement, add some groove, whether you're doing it through the drums, the keys, the guitars, the basses. Look, y'all, we've gone through a couple different techniques that you can use on your records. Please put these into practice, apply them, leave a comment. Tell me how they worked for you. Tell me if it's something didn't work. And let me know what you're using and what you're trying and new things that you're doing to help you stay creative. I've enjoyed having you here today in the lab. I will see you next time.